The first time I met Alexander King, he looked at me like I had committed a crime. I was carrying 2 cups of coffee while rushing through a crowded hotel lobby in Manhattan. My boss had sent me to deliver important documents, and I was already 15 minutes late. Then someone stepped in front of me. Coffee splashed everywhere. 1 cup landed directly on an expensive black suit. The entire lobby fell silent. I looked up. A tall man stood in front of me, staring down with cold gray eyes. The expression on his face made my stomach drop. "Don't you dare look me in the eye," he said. His voice was calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that was somehow more terrifying than shouting. I immediately lowered my gaze. "I'm sorry, sir." Nobody around us moved. It was as if the entire building had frozen. Then I heard someone whisper, "Oh no, that's Alexander King." My heart skipped a beat. Everyone knew that name. Alexander King was one of the most powerful billionaires in America. People feared him. Businesses feared him. Even reporters avoided crossing him. I expected him to curse at me. Maybe threaten to sue me. Instead, something strange happened. His expression suddenly changed. The anger disappeared. The color drained from his face. He stared at me. Not at my clothes. Not at the coffee stain. At me. Like he'd seen a ghost. His hand actually trembled. For several seconds, he didn't speak. Then he whispered 3 words. "It can't be." "What?" I asked. His eyes widened. "My wife." The room became silent again. I blinked. "What?" Alexander took a step closer. "You look exactly like my wife." I laughed nervously. "Sir, I think you've mistaken me for someone else." "No." His voice was firm. "No, I haven't." And that was the moment my ordinary life began to fall apart. 3 days later, Alexander's assistant appeared at my apartment. She handed me a business card. "Mr. King would like to speak with you." I almost threw the card away. But curiosity got the better of me. The next day, I walked into Alexander's penthouse. The walls were covered with photographs. And the second I saw them, my blood ran cold. The woman in every picture looked exactly like me. Same eyes. Same smile. Same hair. Even the tiny dimple on the left cheek was identical. I felt dizzy. Who was she? Alexander stared at one photograph. Her name was Olivia. Was. His jaw tightened. 5 years ago, she disappeared. "You mean she left?" "No." He looked at me. "She vanished." I didn't know what to say. The resemblance was impossible. Yet I knew I wasn't this woman. My name was Emily Carter. I was 24 years old. I worked a regular office job. I had never met Alexander before. Or at least that's what I believed. Then he asked a question that changed everything. "Were you adopted?" The room spun. Nobody knew that. Very few people did. Slowly, I nodded. Alexander closed his eyes. Like he'd just confirmed his worst fear. Over the next few weeks, strange things began happening. A black SUV appeared outside my apartment every night. Someone searched my home while I was at work. Nothing was stolen, but things had clearly been moved. Then came the anonymous text messages. "Stop asking questions. You are not safe." I showed them to Alexander. His face darkened. "They know." "Who knows?" "The people who took her." I laughed nervously. "This is crazy." But deep down, I no longer believed that. Because another discovery was waiting for me. One evening I found old documents hidden inside my adoptive mother's attic. Among them was a photograph. The picture showed a young woman holding a baby. The woman was Olivia, and the baby was me. My hands shook. I could barely breathe. The date on the photograph matched my birth year. Everything I thought I knew suddenly collapsed. The next morning, Alexander arranged a DNA test. The longest week of my life followed. Neither of us slept much. Neither of us spoke about what the results might reveal. Finally, the day arrived. The envelope sat on the table. Alexander looked nervous. For the first time since meeting him, he looked human. Not like a billionaire. Not like a powerful CEO. Just a man terrified of losing hope again. I opened the results. My eyes scanned the page. Then everything blurred. Tears filled my eyes. Alexander grabbed the paper. His hands shook as he read. The report confirmed the impossible. I wasn't Olivia. I wasn't Alexander's wife. I was their daughter. Silence filled the room. Neither of us moved. Neither of us spoke. For 5 years, Alexander had believed both his wife and child were gone forever. Now his daughter was sitting directly in front of him. The truth that followed was even darker. Someone had kidnapped Olivia. Someone had erased every record connecting me to her. Someone powerful. Someone close to Alexander. The investigation led to a shocking name. Richard King. Alexander's uncle. A man trusted by everyone. A man who stood to inherit millions if Olivia disappeared. Evidence started appearing everywhere. Hidden bank transfers. Secret recordings. Witnesses who had been paid to stay silent. The deeper we dug, the more dangerous things became. One night I was kidnapped. A black van pulled beside me after work. Someone grabbed me. A cloth covered my mouth. The next thing I knew, I was tied to a chair inside an abandoned mansion. Richard stood in front of me, smiling. "You should have stopped searching." I stared at him. "Where's my mother?" His smile vanished. "Far away. Alive." He laughed. "That depends on your definition." Hours later, Alexander arrived with police. A dramatic confrontation followed. Richard tried to escape, but this time his secrets finally caught up with him. He was arrested. The media exploded. News channels covered the scandal for weeks. Yet one mystery remained. Where was Olivia? Months passed. Investigators searched across multiple countries. Then one morning Alexander received a phone call. A woman had been found, living under a false identity, thousands of miles away. When we arrived at the hospital, my heart felt ready to explode. A nurse opened the door. A woman sat beside the window. She turned slowly. Tears immediately filled her eyes. Mine too. Because for the first time in my life, I was looking at my mother. She ran toward me. I ran toward her. And after 24 years apart, we finally embraced. Alexander stood nearby crying openly. The family that had been stolen from him had finally returned. The nightmare was over. Or so we thought. Because 2 weeks later, a lawyer delivered a sealed letter written by Richard before his arrest. Inside was a single sentence. A sentence that made all 3 of us freeze. "You still haven't discovered who ordered Olivia's kidnapping." And suddenly we realized something terrifying. Richard hadn't been the mastermind. He had only been the beginning. The end. For now.